Over the last couple of weeks, I've been trying to understand where God is and what is God's purpose in the midst of tragedy. Sometimes when bad things happen to good people, it looks like the opposite of like what karma is, like when you think of karma, right? Karma happens when something bad happens to a bad person, you kind of like, oh, they deserve it, quote unquote. But when a bad thing happens to good people or people you would think as innocent, it's kind of just like, okay, God, why? Like, what's going on here? I wanted to share this Bible verse. This is John 9, verses 1 and 2. It reads, "As he went on along, he saw a man blind from birth. His disciples asked him, 'Rabbi,' which means teacher, 'who sinned, this man or his parents, that he was born blind?' 'Neither this man nor his parents sinned,' said Jesus, 'but this happened so that the works of God might be displayed in him.'" You know, when bad things happen, it's kind of hard to see where God is in it. Like, why did God give me this problem? Why did he give me this trial in my life that I have to endure and walk through? Sometimes the default response to tragedy is like, what did I do? What did I do to deserve this? What did my family do to deserve this? You know what I mean? Even the disciples were like, why, Jesus? Why did this person born blind? And God's response in verse 3 was so that the works of God might be displayed in him. Now, in the response to tragedy, I'm not sure why he was born blind. I don't know what the works of God fully means. I couldn't tell you because I'm not Jesus. But I believe Jesus wanted us to have a perspective switch from why is this happening to what can God do through this thing right here. And maybe for you, it's not being blind, but maybe it's loss. Maybe it's tragedy. Maybe it's, broken pieces. Maybe it's trauma. Maybe it's even an injury, right? I think the perspective switch Jesus wanted us to have here is, instead of why did this happen to me and why is this happening to me, to what can God do through this? And to say, because although bad things happen, it's not that God was like, oh yeah, I'm praying on you, this is going to happen to you, you're going to hurt. I think it's more of a thing where things happen to us, like we're subject to suffer in this thing called life. But what can God do through that? Maybe he can bring peace and comfort through your tragedy. Maybe he can bring joy through your trial and maybe your darkest days. Maybe he can even wake you up to seek him, right? Sometimes when things happen and it kind of shocks you, it's just like, okay, I need to get right with God. Maybe through tragedy, God can allow his works to do great things in our life that maybe we can't see right now. But even in the midst of tragedy and things that go our way, God can still work through it and be the good God that he is. Situations can be good, they can be bad, they can be dead ugly. But God is still good and he remains good, even during the good times, but also the bad times too, because he's still working. He doesn't go on pause. He's not taking a break from working in your life. He still has his hands actively trying to work through us. And one of the key words he actually used in verse 3 was the works of God may be displayed. The only way it's going to be displayed is if you allow him to work through you and to seek his face even in the bad. And if you allow that to happen, people are going to see the peace, the healing, the joy through your darkest moment. And if people see that, if they see you can overcome that and display that to other people, that is the work of God. You are doing the work of God when you allow God to work through you in your darkest moments. Hope this helps somebody out. God could use your darkest moment in tragedy and hurt to help other people with a testimony right in front of them that God is real.